I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. Black history, and I'm not sure to what extent you've heard it, but there are a couple of things. One is I keep talking and teaching that the Harlem of the 1930s and 40s and 50s and 60s was a grand place. It was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. And the men and women of the community were just great men and women. I would love to be able to, on a Saturday evening after the sun goes down and Sabbath ends, for Elizabeth and I to walk up the street to the Lennox Lounge and sit down and have some macaroni and cheese, some fried chicken, some collard greens, and sit there and listen to Billie Holiday sing or listen to some of the other entertainers. Maybe Etta James would come through. I'd love to be able to do that. And maybe Bumpy Johnson would there, Nicky Barnes, they'd be sitting across at another table. Harlem used to be a beautiful place. There are two things. One is that in the early 40s, that Mussolini, that Trump, I think who Trump is kind of modeled himself after Mussolini, but Mussolini was a madman, a psychopath, decided he was going to invade the African nation of Ethiopia and just make it a satellite, make it a part of the Italian empire. He made his plans to do that, and America heard about it and decided they were going to help the Ethiopians defend themselves because they didn't have the wherewithal, the military power, the airplanes, the tanks, or the ships to be able to fight Mussolini. But one of the noble things was that the Africans, or the Ethiopians rather, is that the Hamites, they call themselves black men, during those years they called themselves colored, lined up to go to Ethiopia to help them fight Mussolini. And I want to show you that the great powers that these men demonstrated, but I also want to show you how they were dressed, how far we have fallen from the spirit and the presence of God. And the bad news is that the so-called black man is going to fall further. He used to be a man of honor. He used to be a man that would say, sign me up to go go to Africa to help my brother fight against that psycho Mussolini. He used to be dressed, he used to be strong, he used to own his community. If Jesus tarries 10 years from now, there ain't no telling what he's going to be like. He just keeps getting worse, dumber, more stupid, more hate-filled, more racist, this so-called black man, African American, every day. But I'm going to let you listen to this segment, and I'll be right back.
Black New Yorkers at the time lined up and volunteered. They effectively enlisted to go fight the fascists, to go stop that invasion. Look, hundreds of African-American men in Harlem lining up, volunteering to go fight in that war, even if the U.S. military wouldn't. 25,000 New Yorkers marched through New York City demanding that the fascists be stopped. Another 10,000 New Yorkers packed into Madison Square Garden for a huge rally against the fascists. They destroyed a 20-foot effigy of Mussolini on stage. 10,000 people there for that.
Now, even though America did not make a commitment to go fight against Mussolini and the Italian band, but now they're Hamites. They called that during that. They didn't call themselves colored then. They called themselves colored then. They're Hamite. They said, even though America is not going to help Ethiopia, we will go ourselves. I don't know whether or not Marcus Garvey had anything to do with this. I'm looking at this with more detail. When I get more information, I'll let you know. 25,000 men signed up and said, we're going to go to Ethiopia and we're going to kick that Italian boy Mussolini's behind. We're going to kick it, but good. 25,000 of them. And you see how they were dressed? You see what they look like? You can't get that. You ain't going to get that to happen today. You're not going to get that kind of spirit. We have fallen so far away from the character of people that we used to be. And you see how beautiful this picture is? You can't find that nowhere in America today. You just can't find it. We've lost that. We've lost that beauty. Look at those young men. That looks like something that ATLAH would produce, but the world hates that. I wanted to share that with you. I thought it was important to let you know there was a time when we were men. There was a time, but people have forgotten about Joseph, and they've allowed these false leaders, these scum leaders, these so-called black politicians to lead them to death and to hell. But thank God they didn't have to go, but they would have given their lives. I think was interesting about that. Bring that up, Mr. Engineer, one more time. Was it without the audio? The thing I thought was interesting about that particular visual we saw of the men signing, they were all a bunch of old men. There were a bunch of old men in that line, along with a bunch of young men. And the other thing is that notice how many of them have on hats. Notice, I mean, my friend Coots' father said, a man is not dressed till he put on a belt. Look at how many men with hats on. I mean, just look at that. Look at that. I mean, they're fully dressed. Look with suits and ties on. Look at that. That was a sweet time, Lord have mercy. That was a sweet time for women. A woman, during those years, a woman got 3 and 4. She could have married 3 or 4 men if she wanted. That's how many men that were out there asking, will you marry me? And the other asking, man, they all had on hats and coats. And that was a sweet time. I'm going to tell you something. If you so-called, if y'all knew the truth, you would put Jay-Z in jail. If you knew the truth, you'd put LeBron James in jail. If you knew the truth, you put Al Sharpton in jail. If you knew the truth, some of y'all, I'm not advocating this. But if you knew the truth, some of y'all would want to be ready to kill these so-called popular people today. You kill it. Look at y'all, how much y'all have robbed and stolen from the black man. Look at how you denigrated him. You got him sleeping on the street. You turn him into sissies. You turn him into trannies. You turn him into gays. You turn him into queers. You turn him into fools. You turn him into pensioners. Look at what has happened to our men. Look at what's happened to our men. Look. You put Jay-Z in jail. You better not. You put him in. You put his mama in. You look at what y'all have done. This is now. Go back to 1940, and you see all those men with their hats lining up, ready to go fight. Look at these men can't fight a flea. These are Obama's men. That's what they are. These are Obama's men. These are Jay-Z's men. These are our sharp-tongued men. And you try to reach these young people. Pastor Manning ain't for the black man. He ain't for the black man. Pastor Manning, he don't. We black people got to stick together. We black people, yeah. Stick together in the jail. Stick together in the shelter. Stick together sleeping on the street. Stick together as fools. Ship of fools. We black people got to stick together. Lord, how much we've lost so much. We've lost so much. And by the way, I except for ATLAH, I have to tell you, it's only going to get worse. I'm James Everett Manning, everybody. I'm the Lord's servant. I'll be right back.